Welcome everyone to the free training around budgeting with JFF. We're so pumped that you're here because what we're going to teach you today are many different teachings, methodologies, and resources that we provide for hundreds of our clients around the world who are all getting incredible results with budgeting, enjoying the process along the way, and then also getting incredible results with their finances in totality because it all starts with optimizing and learning how to budget. With that said, budgeting is the bread and butter to bettering your finances. I tell people all the time, thinking that you're going to get better with your finances without budgeting is kind of like thinking you're going to get six-pack abs without eating healthy and working out. It's most likely not going to happen. But the best part is that the system that we have created only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day, and we're going to teach you how. Also, we have changed the stigma around budgeting. Budgeting should not be one of those things where you feel like you're in jail or being told what to do or got to sell your bed and sleep on the floor to pay your bills or sell your car and scooter to work. That stuff is stupid, right? We want to empower you to spend your money the way you want, but in a calculated, controlled, and confident fashion. And we're going to teach you all of that here today and much, much more. If you have any other questions along the way and want them personally answered by myself or someone on my team, we give you several different types of instructions to reach out and ask those questions. I'm more than happy to take a one-on-one with each and every single one of you to answer any questions I possibly can and do anything I can to help because we are a true believer in the power of budgeting, whether it comes from a financial standpoint or the mental, which is the biggest return on investment. So we're going to get this training rolling and we're going to see you guys on the inside. Welcome everyone to the screen share. As we mentioned, we are going to run you through an actual budget that we've created for a past client, which you're looking at, which I'll break down for you in a second. Continue to harp on the importance of budgeting, keeping up with it on a frequent basis, figuring out how to make it a very healthy and effective and efficient daily routine for you, and then also teach you some concepts about how to keep up with it, and then also how to take it to the next level to create the best financial life for you and your family. So again, what you're looking at is just a budget that we've created for a client in the past, and this is the template or the budget that all of our clients use and get great results from. So it looks a little busy, but bear with me because I'm going to walk through it and break it down for you. So with this budget template, you have 3 sections. We have the income section up here. We have the expense section down here. And then in the green down here, we have the profit section, which is essentially just what's left over at the end of the month, right? And if it's black, it's going to be a profit. If it's red, it'll be a loss, which we'll talk about in a second. So let's go over the income section first, which is up here. We're going to go by rows first, then by columns, right? So with this rows, this is for one of our clients who was a teacher, right? So here's her teaching income row. Right? She also has a side hustle in network marketing where she works for Mary Kay. So here's the Mary Kay sales income row. And then down here, we have a miscellaneous income row. So if her mom gives her $25 in a card for her birthday, if she makes $50 tutoring, she's going to pop it in here. Then this blue row is the total income row. So it's just the total of all of these numbers up above. And we build in these equations to sum everything up above for our client. So it does the math for you and updates automatically for you. Right? So those are the rows, fairly straightforward. Let's go by columns now. So here's her income sources and expense sources, what she's actually made or spent, what we have budgeted for her to make or spend, and then the variance column. This is going to be your best friend because it updates at all times in real times to show you how close your earning or your spending is actually coming to hitting the budget. So how close your actual earning or your actual spending is to hitting the budgeted numbers. This is what's going to empower you to make informed decisions around your earning and your spending so you can hit those earning goals and can stick to those spending goals. Let me explain it to you here, right? So for her teaching row, right, we budgeted for her to make $2,422.82 for teaching, right? That's what we budgeted or planned or forecasted for her to make, right? It's in the budgeted column. She's actually made that $2,422.82. So the variance column is saying $0 because her actual earning for this line item met the budgeted number, right? So let's give you another example here, right? So if you go down here to the Mary Kay sales row, right, we have the budgeted number at 300, right? Where the actual number is saying she's actually made $275. So the variance column is saying, you're $25 short of the budgeted number, right? So she's actually made $275. We've budgeted for her to make $300. And so she needs to make another $25 to hit that budgeted number. right? Where this comes into huge help for people with a variable income or someone that's an entrepreneur, owns their own business, right? Is this gives you a clear idea of how much we're planning for you to make, how much you've actually made, and how much you need to make for the rest of the month to hit that budgeted number, right? So let's just say we're looking at a calendar, right? We'll pull up a calendar over here, right? And it's going to say, okay, today is June 23rd. Right? We have about 7 days left in the month. So within that next 7 days, I need to make this $25. All right. What does that $25 look like? Is it 3 mascaras and 1 foundation? Okay. Are those sales on the books, and who are they going towards, right? And if they're not, who are we going to plug in to make sure that we do make those sales, or who are we going to go after to make sure that we do get that product off to hit this income goal? So it decreases your stress and anxiety a ton because there's no more subjectivity around how much do I have to make this month? How much have I made this month? Do I need to go sell this? Am I going to meet my goal by the end of the month? This is showing you exactly what you need to do, how much you've done so far, what we need to do to hit that goal, and then giving you a time frame in regards to go out and make it happen, right? So it significantly decreases your stress and anxiety by providing this clarity and direction, and also significantly increases the chances that you're going to hit these goals by giving you this information to empower you to make informed decisions. All right. So with that said, that's the income section breakdown. So from there, we want to go over the expense side of things, right? And then at the end, I'm going to teach you how they all tie together. So down here, you can see this is the expense section. And as you see, there's 2 colors. That's because your expenses come in 2 forms, right? The white ones being your fixed expenses, which just means they're the same each month unless something anomalistic happens, right? So what we do for clients is once we figure out what the fixed expenses are, we just proactively plug those numbers into the actual column from the beginning of the month to make your life a little easier and more efficient. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't see any value add in me sitting on my bank statement each month waiting for my mortgage to come out on the same exact date for the same exact amount it's been coming out in the past 3 years for auto pay. That's a waste of my time, right? And so what we do is we plug those fixed expenses into the actual column from the beginning of the month to help you save some time on not tracking things that are most likely automatically just going to come out for the same exact amount. So then we get down here and it saves us time for these purple expenses, which are the variable expenses, which means they vary or change each month. And so you have some control, if not total control over these ones, right? So these are going to be the only ones that you actually track, which is gold, because it gives you skin in the game to actually open this up, open your bank statement up, track how you're actually spending your money, hold yourself accountable to the budgeted number, and then use the information in the variance column to empower you to make informed decisions around your spending. So you're not bleeding money on unnecessary avoidable expenditures, but instead that money is recouped back into your pocket to go towards your financial goals. Also, a big thing to realize here too as well is that we want to build you a little bit of room for you to live your life, but in a calculated and controlled and confident fashion, right? So you can see there's an eating out category here. There's a little bit of a miscellaneous category here too as well. So she's got some lifestyle baked in, but she's not spending more than she's making, and she's comfortable with the amount that she is spending on these lifestyle activities, which gives her some peace of mind, some social life, and allows to help her, have that mental health capacity, which is so super important to having optimal finances, right? Because this is definitely not one of those companies where we're going to tell you, sell your car and scooter to work to pay your bills and sell your couch and sleep on the floor, right? It just doesn't make any sense, right? So point being is we're not telling you how to spend your money. Instead, we're empowering you to control how you do that and do it in a calculated, controlled, and confident fashion, right? So let me run you through a few examples here, right? So right here is the eating out line category, right? So we have her budgeted to spend $150 this month on eating out. This is saying she's actually spent $0 so far, so the variance column is telling her she has $150 left to spend on eating out for the rest of the month until she hits that budgeted goal and or goes over or under, right? So let's just say, theoretically, she goes and spends $125, right, on eating out. And watch this variance column automatically update for her. So say, okay, we've budgeted $150 for you to spend. You've actually spent $125 now so far, so you now have only $25 left to spend on eating out. So let's just say she finishes this training, closes the laptop, and her girls give her a call, and she's like, hey, let's go out to some dinner and drinks tonight, right? She knows it's going to be a $100 tab. So what she does is she pops open her budget, goes over here to the variance column. Okay, I only have $25 left to spend on eating out for the rest of the week, rest of the month, right? I obviously can't stomach a $100 tab. So she makes an informed decision, tells her girls that she can't go out to dinner and drinks, doesn't bleed money on unnecessary avoidable expenditures, instead recoups that money back in her pocket to go towards her financial goals of paying off her credit cards, or, being able to build that emergency fund for her and her family, or to be able to save for that down payment on the house so she can stop renting, right? Again, this is what happens when you track it on a frequent basis and then read the story the numbers are telling you and use this information in the variance column to empower you to make those informed decisions around your earning and your spending, right? And so we customize this income section, or the expense section as well for each one of our clients. Get your fixed expenses in there, get them plugged in from the beginning of the month, figure out what your variable expenses are, build you a little lifestyle in there too as well, and then teach you how to keep up with it on a frequent basis so you can actually track this to help empower you to better your financial situation. Right, so with that said, it gets us down here to the total expense row in the budgeted side of things, which is, again, another equation we bake in for our clients that just sums up all of these numbers here automatically. So as you can see, it's built in there for them, right, which then gets us down to the most important line item, right? So we're down here, most important line item, right, which is the profit line item. So it's basically showing you after you make this $2,722.82, you spend this $2,362.19, even with a little bit of lifestyle and groceries and all those variable expenses baked in. This client is going to have $360.63 left over at the end of the month. And so when I built her this budget, she was like, oh my God, where's all my money going? I have $1 to my name. That's exactly why we do this. So we show you what you're capable of doing, make your financial situation a lot clearer, and then give you the guidance and the direction and the empowerment to go out and make this happen month after month. Right. So with that said, the month after month comment, as you can see down here at the bottom of the screen, right, we build it out for every single month for our clients for the next 12 months and take all of the unique variables for each month into consideration. Right. So what I mean by that is some months you may go on vacation. So we want to plan that out in the expense line items. Some months you may get an extra paycheck, which we'll talk about because of how the Fridays lie, how your pay structure is. Some months you may have to plan for holidays, buying gifts for Christmas in December, right? And then, some other months you may have, some quarterly expenses, right? That annual Amazon Prime expense. Those are unique variables that need to be taken into consideration with each month, because a lot of times people don't take those into consideration. Then they become a surprise and then throw them off financially, right? And so I'm going to go through this with you, right? So as you can see down here, it's built out for every single month, right? So let's go over to July, right? 2021, because this one has a couple unique variables I'll point out, right? So up here, as you can see, this is a 3-pay month for this client because she gets paid every other Friday. So that means that 2 months out of the year, she gets 3 paychecks instead of 2. Right. And so we went through and we figured out based off her last paycheck, we went through and skipped every week and figured out that her 3-pay months are July and January, right? So we take that into consideration here. So as you can see, compared to June, her income was $2,422.82. And up here, if you could look up here, all that is $1,211.41, which is the amount she makes per paycheck, times 2 to get the amount that she's going to get in this type of month. Right. So only thing that we changed over here in July is in this equation we bake in, we just multiplied that paycheck amount times 3, right? Boom, a unique variable taken into consideration. Right. Another unique variable for her expense wise, she has Beachbody, which is just, an online platform for exercise and training, right? Which hits every quarter, right? So that just means every 3 months it comes out. So her 3 months are April, July, October, and January. So as you can see in June, nothing came out. Right. But in July, we're taking that in consideration because that's an additional expense that we want to plan for. Right. So that's why we build it out for every month. And then also you have a fresh month each month to track. Right. And then over time, you have 12 months of data to then be able to go back and reference when you want to build next year's budget, Like, okay, we actually last year spent $500 on Christmas gifts. Let's budget for that. We actually last year spent $1,000 on that vacation in June. Let's use that actual information to create the budgeted number next year. What that does is it allows you to plan better for next year, be proactive instead of reactive, right? Anticipatory cope with these expenses and limit those surprises and stresses and anxieties. And if anything, maximize and optimize your financial situation so you can earn more, spend less, profit more, and then weather any storm that is thrown your way because you can predict which ones are coming, right? So with that said, after all of these months that we create, we then do a roll-up tab. This roll-up tab is going to add up all of your income for each one of these months, all of your expenses, and then all of your profits. So you can show yourself what this is going to look like over the next 12 months. So it allows us to look into the future, plan for the future, instead of just living in the moment, which is one of the biggest issues I find clients and people have with their finances is they can't see it in the future. They're just acting for right now, right? And they don't see the repercussions or the goals of what the future holds based off their right now actions. So this gives you that granularity on how to perform month in and month out, track, keep up with these goals, hold yourself accountable to them, and then, take those lessons into the next month, but then most importantly, see how that's all going to play out over the next 12 months. So over here, those budgeted numbers, obviously we'll track the actuals as we go over here, but over here, these are the budgeted numbers, right? So the budgeted income for the past 12 months is just all of these numbers in the budgeted column, added up, the budgeted expenses, and then the budgeted profit. So we're saying over the next 12 months after taxes, right, this person is going to make $37,196.66. She's going to spend $28,406.24. Obviously, give or take a few bucks. This is just the budget, anticipated or forecasted numbers. But most importantly, at the end of 12 months, she's going to have almost $8,800 to her name. So when I show people this, they're like, wow, that's my credit card debt, or that's the emergency fund that me and my family need, or that's the down payment we need on a house, right? So it motivates them to act in the now, hold themselves accountable to those budgeted numbers for income and expense. So after 12 months, they can see this amount. Because I tell my clients all the time, the time is going to pass either way. It's our decision on how we want to utilize it. So over time, as you're performing to these numbers, keeping up with this every day, right, which is what we harp on, finding a time of day that works for you and keeping up with this every day, because it's only 1 to 3 minutes a day if you do, because then in turn, you're going to reap these massive results, right? And after 12 months goes by, obviously with everything that we can control, if we do so, give or take a few bucks, this is what a year down the road is going to look like for people, right? So this is that hard motivation for people to stick to these months, right? Because after the 12 months passes, this is what it's going to look like in the future, right? So that's an overview of the budget system that we build. The key things to take from this, right, before we move on to the next lesson is to, when you're building a budget, right, it's very important to actually track it on a frequent basis. Because a big issue is that people come to me all the time and they got a couple things wrote down in a notebook and they know in their head that they spend $14.99 a month on Netflix. That's barely a budget. Actually, it's not a budget at all, right? Because a budget is a system and allows you to leverage it, allows you to, be proactive instead of reactive, anticipatory cope, and then also get results. You can't get results in a budget, or the budget doesn't actually work if you're not actually following it, tracking it, and keeping up with it. So that's the main thing, is to frequently track how you're actually spending your money. The second thing is to take into consideration how that actual spending is holding up against your budgeted amount, which is where the variance column comes into play. You'll never see, nobody puts these into budgets, but it's the most important part, right? It intuitively tells you how close your actual spending is to hitting budget, so it empowers you to make that informed decisions around your earning and around your spending. For someone with a variable income, right, an entrepreneur, a network marketer, it empowers them to first create some budgeted goals for what they want to bring in income-wise, track how they're actually spending their money, and then see how short they are of hitting that goal to go out and actually make that happen. So it significantly increases the chances of you hitting that target goal for that network marketing or for that variable entrepreneur income. Then when it comes to expenses, everybody has variable expenses, right? And you want to be able to control those so you don't bleed money on those unnecessary avoidable expenditures. Instead, recoups back in your pocket to go towards your financial goals. And that's what the second most important part is having a variance column to give you information of how close you are to hitting budget and or going over or under. Then the third thing, is to understand unique variables. Every month has something different, most likely. That Amazon Prime bill that hits in January, those 3 paycheck months in June and July, or in July and January, right? The holiday season, that vacation in the summer, your mom's birthday in October. You want to take those into consideration, right? Because it helps you decrease your stress and anxiety, plan for them, and make the best of those things when they come. Then the last thing is to think big picture. Understand that you're Your habits and your spending and your earning right now are impacting the big picture, that time that's going to pass either way, and having a roll-up tab or a future goal to look at so that you can hold yourself accountable each month to make sure that happens when the 12 months then does come to an end. So that's the basic depiction of the budget. This is the template that we use, how it really empowers people to get informed, to get best results by making informed decisions and massively decreasing their stress and anxiety off of this clarity, off of this objectivity, and off of this guidance, and really expedites all of your goals to happening. And the best part is it only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day. What to do next is learn some strategies that are going to allow us to take this budget to the next level and continue to get great results, right? That helps us leverage this as a system. And with that said, if you're liking what you're seeing already and what you're hearing, and you want to take this a little bit deeper, or have some questions that you want to ask to myself or one of my team members, feel free to comment foundations on this video if you're watching it in the Facebook group, or just respond back to the email you got this from, which should be justfinancialfoundations@gmail.com. Myself or one of my strategy team members will reach out to you. We'll take a personal one-on-one call with you to answer any questions that you have and see what we can do to do anything we can to help you. So I just want you to know that we're always here for you, and you always have that option. With that said, let's get back into it because we got a ton more stuff to learn. So what we went over so far were just, the basic outline of this budget, how it works, how we customize it to our particular clients, what these numbers are saying, and then how to use this information to empower you to make informed decisions around your earning and your spending, and then to look at the big picture with the annual roll-up tab. Next, I want to teach you 4 strategies that allows you to leverage this budget as a system instead of just as a budget. What I mean by system is a system gives you massive advantages in life. It allows you to be proactive instead of reactive, to plan for the future, to understand, that if something does get thrown at us, that we can, pivot, use this budget to game plan around it and make best results with anything that life does throw at us, and then to continue to achieve our financial goals at the fastest, most efficient way possible, and to have that confidence that you are on track to doing so. With that said, we teach these 4 concepts, right, around this, right? So strategies for leveraging the budget as a system. We teach the 4 concepts of strategic thinking, annualization, forecasting, and projecting. And they're very simple concepts, which we're going to run you through today and show you how to utilize those within your budget and your financial life. So the first one being strategic thinking, right? So I get a lot of clients, first and foremost, that come to me that say, well, I didn't track today because I didn't spend anything or didn't earn anything, so there's no reason to track. I'm like, no, well, good. You don't have to waste time plugging numbers into the budget, right? What you can do instead is open this up and utilize these 4 strategies, still 1 to 3 minutes a day, right? With that said, the first one being strategic thinking. So I also get a lot of clients that come to me and they're like, well, we were over budget on eating out anyway, so we just kept spending. So I'm like, God, no. So first step in strategic thinking, don't think like that, right? Because a $100 overage on eating out is a whole lot different than a $700 overage, right? Just because they're red doesn't mean they're the same thing, right? And so what I mean by red is, let's say, I spent $250 on eating out and the budget was only $150. Watch this turn, right? It's saying, okay, you're over budget by 100. That turns red. Red is bad, black is good, right? And so don't just keep spending once this turns red, right? And so with that said, right, if you are over, let's just say, we're at, like, again, $250, we're over by $100. Then the next step is I call it, how do we cap the bleeding or stop the bleeding, right? So instead of saying, okay, screw it, we just kept spending, let's learn how to cap the bleeding. What I mean by that is, okay, we're $100 over on eating out right now. If we can do our best between now and the end of the month to cap the bleeding or, control this as best as possible, we'll think that we'll be, $200 over. Right, so you go here. Let's just say we change this to 350 for the sake of getting this variance column to show us. Okay, if we can cap the bleeding at 200, great. Right. From there, I get clients that are like, oh, we'll just call that $200 a loss. That $200 overage a loss. Right? No. Let's take it a step further. We still got half the month left, and the majority of the month, there's several days to figure out where are we going to recoup this $200 overage from. All right. So, okay, are we going to make an extra $100 with Mary Kay, right? And then cut miscellaneous by 100. There's the 200 back, right? So do we go up here and put another $100 on this, right? To recoup 100 of this $200 overage, and then reduce our miscellaneous budget by 100. Boom, there's your $200 back. Right. So to think strategically around this, you need a system like this first and foremost to be able to see these numbers, right? To be able to actually first and foremost to be able to see that you're actually over because you've been tracking correctly, and then the variance column here isn't showing you that you're actually over. Right, you're actually over. So first, you need the system to be able to strategically think by identifying where you're over, and then find the areas of opportunity of where you're going to make that money back. Right. So let's talk about how much that strategic thinking just helped you save. Right, so first and foremost, right, instead of saying screw it, we just kept spending, right, $100 overage turned into a $700 overage, right, that's a difference of $600, right, just by strategically thinking, saying, okay, we're not going to say that, right, we're going to say let's cap the bleeding, right, so $600 that you've saved yourself by not saying screw it, let's just keep spending, over 12 months, right, turns into $7,200 that you just saved yourself. Let's say if you're strategically thinking like this every month, right? $7,200 over the year, right? Then let's say, instead of saying screw it, we're just going to call that $200 overage, the cap, the bleeding, and loss, right? Instead of saying that and going and finding it within your budget by making $100 more and spending $100 less in a different category, we have $200 over 12 months now turns into $2,400. Right? So between the first step of $7,200 savings plus the second step of the $2,400 savings, you saved yourself $9,600, right, throughout the year. Again, this is just a theoretical example. It'll vary for everybody, right? But just having the system in place first to then be able to utilize the first strategy and strategic thinking will allow you to recoup thousands of dollars over large time frames, right? So that's the first example, right? Strategic thinking. The next one is called annualization. Annualization, all it really means is you're utilizing the information that you have in a certain time frame to predict what the rest of the time frame is going to look like, right? So let's just say our time frame is the month of December, right? And let's say so far we have spent $140 on groceries, right? And let's say we're halfway through the month, right? So we spent $140 on groceries. We're halfway through the month, and we're trying to figure out what the second half of the month is going to look like, and then the month in totality, how much we're going to spend on groceries throughout the month. So an annualization tactic is, okay, if we've spent $140 on the first half of the month, right, then what we can do is just double that number, so times 2, to show us what we're going to spend in the whole month in totality, right, which would show us, okay, we'd be about $280, right, for the month if our spending habits on groceries in the second half of the month matches the first half of the month. Then it gives you about, 15-day advance to show you maybe $30 over to then strategically think about where that money is going to come back from, right? But with that said, a lot of times annualization doesn't make sense, right? And we got to ask ourselves, okay, does this annualization make sense before we start game planning around these numbers, right? And so this month is the month of December, right? So with that said, the first half of the month, we may have spent $140 groceries in the first half of the month, but does that make sense that we're going to actually spend that same amount in the second half of the month? And how you question the legitimacy of annualization and scenarios like this is with forecasting and projecting, which are those next, to remind you, are those next concepts. Right? So those next concepts are here. We went over strategic thinking, just talked about annualization, right? Trying to predict what the time frame is going to look like based off the information that you have available to you from the time that's already passed. Essentially using the first half of the month to predict the second half of the month to see what you're going to spend on groceries within the whole month in totality, right? But then you want to be able to, again, question the legitimacy or logic behind the analyzation. Does it actually make sense to use that this month or use that with this category, right? By forecasting and projecting. Right? So forecasting, right? We're forecasting what the rest of the month is going to look like in regards to scenarios or endeavors or, plans that you have coming up. So yeah, you might have spent $140 on the first half of the month in December on groceries, but you're hosting Christmas Eve and Christmas at your house. So you're forecasting those events. You're forecasting the second half of the month is going to be different than the first half of the month because of those events. And then you're projecting what those events are going to cost you by putting a price tag to them. Like, okay, yeah, we're going to spend $140 on regular groceries maybe in the second half of the month like we did in the first half, but we're also going to spend an additional $100 on groceries, right? So $140 for the regular groceries and then another $100 on groceries to be able to host Christmas dinner and Christmas Eve dinner, right? Then from there, between annualization forecasting and projecting, we're not like, oh shoot, we screwed up the budget this month for groceries at $250, right? We're actually probably going to spend $380 on groceries this month. So then you can see here, right? Oh shoot, we're going to actually be $130 over, and let me go back and strategically think around this one, right? So these are just very simplistic depictions, right, around how to utilize these strategies, right? So first and foremost, if you don't have the system in place, you're never going to realize that you're going to be, $150 over on groceries, or $100 or $200 over on eating out. So you need the system in place to actually track it in the first place, have your budget numbers set for you, and then have the variance column to show you that you're going to be over, right? Then you need these strategies to then help you identify maybe these overages in advance to allow you to be proactive instead of reactive. What I mean by that is you could just wait to the end of the month and be like, shoot, dang, I spent $150 over, budget on eating out. But if you had these strategies, let's just say this is June 15th, instead of waiting to June 30th when the month is over and just saying, well, damn, that money's gone, I can't really do much about it this month anyways, right? If you have these strategies, on June 15th that you're going to be over by $150, on eating out, or you're going to be over, if this is December, by $130 on groceries. So you have 15 days to think strategically to go back and recoup that money. Again, that saves you thousands of dollars over the long haul, but it all starts by having this budget in place in the first place, understanding the concept of doing so, having a template like this that is world renowned, that gives you so many rewards and mass amounts of leverage in life, and only takes 1 to 3 minutes a day to upkeep, and also allows you to still live your life, and then feeds you the information to empower you to make informed decisions around your earning and around your spending, so you can hit those earning goals, earn more if you have to, control your unnecessary avoidable expenditures, recoup money back in your pocket to go towards your financial goals and these profits, to make sure that you do get out of that credit card debt that she has here, that you do build that emergency funds for you and your family, and that you do allow yourself to be able to buy that family home for you and your loved ones down the road, so you can exponentially increase the chances of you reaching all these financial goals. And it all starts with this budget. Again, you will never maximize your finances if you are not budgeting. You will never reach your full potential if you are not budgeting. And having a system like this in place, and then learning how to utilize it from the simplistic ways to then taking it to the next level with those strategies that we just taught you, I promise you will optimize your finances and help you keep it there for the rest of your life, and open up your eyes and your ability to see other opportunities and capitalize on those, and then hand these lessons off to your family. And I promise you, the massive decreased stress and anxiety and the increased opportunities will have a ripple effect to every other facet of your life. And so, like I said in the beginning of this, thinking that you're going to optimize your finances and take it to the next level and have the best financial life without budgeting, particularly using a system like this, is like thinking you're going to get six-pack abs without eating right and working out. It's most likely not going to happen, right? So I hope you enjoyed this training. And again, if you're interested in anything that you heard today, comment on this video. If you're in the Facebook group, Foundations, myself or one of my strategy members will reach out to you. We'll take this to the next level by answering any of your questions, seeing how we can implement this in your life and how we can help. And then also you can respond back to the email if this is also how you got access to this free training, which is just financialfoundations@gmail.com. That's going to go directly to me. I'm going to be able to hop on a call with you, and we're going to figure out how to take this to the next level for you and your family. And I'm super excited to see the results that you guys get. So we are beyond excited for you guys to go and purchase this, get these results, start to see how it impacts you and your family's, not just financial structure, but overall well-being. I'm so proud of you guys. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so honored that you're trusting us with this, and we can't wait to see these results play out in you and your family's life. We'll see you on the inside.